Two questions. We have someone on the chat, Marlon Bethel, right? Like yourself, first-generation immigrant, NYPD police officer, rose to the rank of intelligence detective, terminated by the Eric Adams administration without due process, without a department trial, without ever being charged criminally or civilly for failure to take a vaccine. What are your thoughts on that? On your administration, would you hire Marlon Bethel back?
You know, I struggle on this in that I think it is, on the one hand, can absolutely understand the frustration of someone who has lost their job in a time when the city is tearing apart so much of the same policies that were made at the height of COVID and has arbitrarily decided which ones to keep and which ones to take. I mean, I'm right now in the state legislature pushing back against the governor's attempt to ban masks, which would sound ridiculous if I told you that a few years ago when it was illegal to not wear a mask. And to have all of this at the same time, I understand where that frustration comes from. On the other hand, I also do deeply feel the importance of following public health mandates in a pandemic emergency, especially when you're a public worker. So I think ultimately, if you ask me today, would I be hiring Marlon back? I think I would fall on the side of no, because of the concerns around the necessity of upholding that public health mandate. And yet I also don't want to pretend that this is simple or straightforward, because there are so many contradictions. And I think that one of the contradictions that really stuck with me was how we had a different set of rules for workers than we did for celebrities. And I think what New Yorkers want is consistency. So that's where I am today, but I understand it's not simple, it's not straightforward.
But again, this is not really a vaccine issue, in my opinion. This is a civil rights issue. This is a worker rights issue. This is someone that worked for 2 years prior to this mandate during a pandemic when most New Yorkers were in there, and was previously infected and had natural provable antibodies, which the CDC said were acceptable as to had the same level of protection that the vaccine did. This is more of a worker rights issue. So, sitting there and saying, oh, I care about homelessness, I care about worker rights, I care about the middle class, when we see a completely totalitarian dictate come down from a government that made absolutely no sense. Because like you just said it yourself, Kyrie Irving could play basketball, but Marlon Bethel couldn't go to work 2 years later. I mean, to me, it's kind of a hypocritical stance, in my opinion. How, because to me, this is not a vaccine issue at all. This is a civil rights, worker right issue. This set, honestly, New York City back, labor rights back, probably 100 years.
I mean, I hear you, and I understand the contradictions at the core of it. I think my concern comes from the likelihood of, that we could be in a new pandemic, and the necessity of following the public health guidance that we put forward in that pandemic. To the places where I absolutely hear you is the contradictions of the guidance that we've been given thus far, what we're continuing to uphold, what we're rolling back. But that's the central core, the tension that I have is, in that moment when the science has us believe that this is the most effective way to counter it, shouldn't we have public workers be the ones who are the first to showcase the necessity of taking that step?